We've all heard of medical outbreaks, the war against Ebola, or even the MERS virus outbreak. But what if I told you that there is another war going on out there? A quiet, deadly war. On one side are the parents. They're told that their babies take too many vaccines, which can overwhelm their immune systems. They hear that vaccines can cause chronic diseases. They hear some of this from celebrities who they admire, like Oprah Winfrey. But most of these stories are from parents like themselves. Parents who claim their babies contracted autism or other learning disabilities from the immunization. On the other side, however, are the doctors. They're growing concerned with the increasing numbers of unvaccinated children. The world is becoming a dangerous place, and they are taking a stand. Trapped in the middle of all this stands our babies. Left vulnerable, they suffer the diseases of their grandparents. Recent outbreaks of whooping cough and influenza have caused hundreds to suffer, some to die. They lost their lives purely because their parents feared vaccines more than the disease they prevent. So far, throughout my lifetime of 16 years, I've had a number of vaccinations since pre-birth until now, all of which have benefited me in numerous ways. However, I've been told that vaccinations don't work or that they're dangerous. Being a bit of a skeptic, this made me research vaccinations and figure out the truth for myself. I reflected on the real message New Zealanders are being told about vaccines. I see the importance of vaccinations for everyone, particularly pregnant women. I'm not here today just to tell you about vaccinations. I'm here today to share with you the importance of vaccinations for pregnant women. I will cover how they work, how they're so effective, why they're so crucial in pregnancy, and finally, what we should do to eliminate this problem, successfully bringing about the vision of New Zealand as seen by Sir Paul Callaghan. Our scientists fear increased disease outbreak as the number of New Zealand pregnant women refusing to immunize soars, with the uptake of the pertussis vaccine at an all-time low of 13% last year. More and more discredited vaccine advice is being given to pregnant parents, particularly pregnant women, by the internet, teachers, midwives, even pregnancy class teachers. The problem is not that our parents can't afford vaccines or they don't have access to medical care. The problem is that they're afraid of all that incorrect information about vaccines being harmful or dangerous. Let's start with the first question. What is an immunization? A vaccine is a biological preparation which supplies improved immunity to a certain disease. Vaccines will normally contain an agent which mirrors a microbe causing that particular disease. Microorganisms are typically made from weakened, dead forms of this microbe, such as its toxins or a surface protein. As you can see, this is an example of how the influenza vaccine is created. This agent works by prompting the body's immune system to identify the agent as a danger, kill it, and remember it, in order for the immune system to recognize it later on and kill it again. When a more fatal version of the agent is encountered, the body recognizes the protein coat on the virus, prepares the counter by neutralizing the target agent before it can go into cells, and recognizes and destroys cells which are infected before they can expand into higher numbers. Vaccines are historically proven to be the most effective method to fight and kill contagious diseases. There are two types of vaccines which are the most crucial for women in pregnancy. The first one is the tetanus, which protects the mother and baby from whooping cough. Whooping cough is a terribly infectious respiratory disease caused by the bacterium known as Bordetella pertussis. New Zealand slowly emerged from our most recent outbreak of pertussis last year. The highest risk period of pertussis in infants is in their first 6 months of life. Immunization of the mother while pregnant provides immunity to the infant during that time, so it is strongly recommended. In January of 2014 alone, there were 169 notified cases. Since the outbreak in August 2011, there have been a total of 10,060 pertussis notifications, resulting in 560 hospitalizations and 3 deaths. In one large United States study, vaccinations during pregnancy reduced infant pertussis cases by 33%, hospitalizations by 38%, and deaths by 49%. Antibodies created by the mother from the immunization are transferred to her baby across the placenta during the last few weeks of pregnancy and also prevents premature delivery. Next, the influenza. Women who catch the influenza during pregnancy can develop pregnancy complications, including premature birth. The influenza vaccine cannot harm the unborn baby, and the pregnant mother cannot contract the flu upon being immunized. The influenza vaccine effectively stimulates one's immune system in order for antibodies to combat the virus. Once having this immunity, you can transfer it onto your baby naturally, decreasing the chances of a newborn contracting the flu. The New Zealand ESR influenza report in July this year shows 319 suspected cases in just 1 week, up from 184 in the previous week. It is the biggest 1-week rise this year and puts the flu season on a similar path to epidemic seasons of 2010 and 2012. Michaela McNally, a New Zealand mother, contracted the flu 35 weeks into the pregnancy, and she had not taken the flu jab. Michaela McNally suffered an induced coma in July last year, waking up in Waikato Hospital's intensive care unit, having no idea that doctors had actually performed a cesarean surgery to save her daughter's life. Michaela's child Maggie spent the first 3 weeks of her life in intensive care during the time she should have been bonding with her mother. Not surprisingly, this would have been easily prevented with the flu jab. Some may argue that taking a vaccination may cause autism. Actually, most children with autism are diagnosed after age 4, a few at age 2. In view of my topic today on pregnant mothers and newborn babies, there's actually no age relationship here with regards to autism. Hence, this claim is actually not relevant to my topic. But I am happy to clarify that the American Academy of Pediatrics, the CDC, the World Health Organization, and the Institute of Medicine have all agreed that there is really no relationship between vaccines and autism. I believe the best solution to this problem is to educate both parents and doctors. It is essential that every single health professional is fully aware of the huge amounts of evidence in support of vaccinations, including both its safety and efficiency. We need greater Ministry of Health involvement in antenatal classes and audits to make sure that the benefits of immunization have been enforced. I'm calling for this to go viral on the internet, push more pro-vaccine messages to more expectant mums, and drown out all that negative messages surrounding vaccinations online. Health clinics, doctor surgeries, healthcare providers should all have a brochure or a pamphlet targeting each nationality and society, which they could then hand out to every person which walks in the door. Midwives need to speak to mothers, deliver the right messages. We need strict curriculum standards held nationally across the whole of New Zealand to streamline vaccination information given to pregnant women. I'm calling for better regulated, government-funded and private pregnancy courses in order to make sure that our community is not receiving these negative messages around vaccinations. The TV, schools, media all need to be informed. We need to make sure our community can differentiate between what is true and what is false and not confuse them with some doctors saying one thing, but midwives are saying another. What are the costs and benefits? Let's start with the benefits first. I believe that in the short term, more vaccinated people would mean fewer deaths and less hospitalization. As we require fewer medicines to cure our diseases, this means more money could be spent to develop new treatments to cure other diseases. We would also have more workers in New Zealand's workforce, increasing New Zealand's economic growth and well-being, thus a higher status for New Zealand in the global market. This could potentially eradicate the whooping cough and the flu, as fewer and fewer people contract it every year. Social benefits are less sicknesses, hence less stress, building happier New Zealand communities. Environmental benefits is less medicines and treatments required, also less spread of illness among our New Zealand children. If there are less antibiotics and medications to cure our diseases, there will be less pollution in our lakes and rivers. A short-term cost is the increased government spending on resources, such as vaccines in the health sector, advertisements like pamphlets, as well as teachers for education about vaccines. But overall, the benefits greatly outweigh the costs. By targeting pregnant women, we trigger what is known as the domino effect. Pregnant women pass on the immunity to their babies, generation by generation. We're dealing with this issue from the roots of the tree, the seed of the flower. Every single one of you is here today for a reason. I know all of you dream of a better New Zealand. I know I do. And if every single pregnant mother in New Zealand takes a vaccination, this means doctors, scientists, researchers would expand their research, leading on to greater future medical science advancement. We fulfill Sir Paul Callaghan's vision for New Zealand in ways we've never even dreamed of. Let's build a brighter future for our Kiwi kids in New Zealand. Start here. Start now. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. You relied on the example of Michaela, which one could say is anecdotal, like it happened, but it's one person's example. What do you say to a parent who says, I know somebody who had that vaccination, it made them really ill?
The cases of getting a really major illness, like a convulsion or a seizure from a vaccination is 1 in 14,000. The number of people who actually contract whooping cough and influenza is a lot higher. Like the chances of a newborn baby contracting influenza or whooping cough is very high. Like because they're only young, they have a higher risk of contracting that disease. Hence, I believe that Michaela's was one example, but we only have one life, and if we can't take that risk of like just saying that was only one person in the whole of New Zealand, but actually there's no point taking that risk in like suffering a near-death experience like Michaela if there's something like a vaccine to prevent that.
That's the same argument, of course, that parents use for not getting their children vaccinated, or maybe even themselves, because they know someone who suffered as a result of it.
The thing is, you can contract like small side effects from a vaccination, but they're all easily healed from. Then there are no long-term effects of a vaccination.
You're convinced there are never any long-term effects from any vaccination?
There are a couple, but the benefits of a vaccination greatly outweigh those risks, which are very small. In a population.
So how do you persuade the individual to do what's best for the population, but not necessarily 100% good for the individual?
I just believe that there will be a few people who can't be vaccinated, and they might contract like severe illnesses from it, but there are very few. And the amount of it's important to have community immunity, which means most of the population who are immunized will protect those few who aren't immunized. So,
you said you wanted to ensure that the benefits of immunization are enforced. How enforced do you want immunization to be, do you think?
I think that we need to stress that all the messages surrounding vaccinations which are negative are
censored.
Said that they're not true. like we need to make sure that people know that it's like all those stuff online is actually not true, and we really need to look at two sides of two sides of the topic, because when you go online, there's so much on there and you don't know who to believe. So I think it's a really good place to start is like gynecologists. So we make sure they have brochures and pamphlets and make sure they're well educated to pass on this messages to pregnant women. Then tell media, companies, TV and stuff to pass that message on as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.